right, let the record reflect that State's President, Defense Counsel, and the defendant are all present.
Wade Wilson's life unfolded like a tragic tale, delving deep into the darker sides of humanity. Born on May 20th, 1994, in Tallahassee, Florida, Wade was given up for adoption right after birth. This left him feeling unwanted and abandoned, emotions that haunted him throughout his life. Wade Wilson's story began in sadness. Wade always felt like he didn't fit in. His adoptive parents, Mark and Linda, gave him a lot of love, but Wade still felt alone. At school, he was the quiet kid who watched others from the side, never feeling part of any group. This loneliness got worse as he got older, pulling him towards people who didn't follow the rules because he felt accepted there. Despite his parents' efforts through sports and therapy to help him connect with others, Wade remained closed off, finding it hard to express his feelings or bond with people. His unresolved feelings of rejection and isolation influenced his decisions, leading him ultimately into a life of crime. In 2015, Wade's underlying issues surfaced dramatically when he was accused of raping a woman in his SUV after a party. Despite his denial, the severe allegations shook the local community. After a tense trial, a jury found the evidence insufficient to convict him, but the stigma of the allegations altered his interactions and reputation. Wade's life took another ominous turn in 2018 when he was tangentially involved in a high-profile murder trial. During the trial of Denise Williams, accused of orchestrating her husband's murder, a fellow inmate, Brian Winchester, implicated Wade in potential plots to fabricate evidence and even more sinister actions. This association only added to the dark aura surrounding his life. 2019 was particularly tumultuous for Wade. He faced accusations from a former girlfriend of theft, kidnapping, and assault.
He kidnapped me and almost killed me.
I dated this man. I don't want to be quiet about it. It was just like a very toxic relationship, but he was never violent, ever. At some point, he had bit my face.
Legal complications and a pre-existing no-contact order meant the charges were not pursued, leaving this unsettling chapter unresolved. Later that year, he faced legal repercussions for pawning stolen items. Wade's path took a dark turn in 2019 with a terrible night of violence. He met Christine Melton and Stephanie Sailors at a bar.
The jurors, your name?
Stephanie Sailors.
What was your name back in 2019?
Stephanie Johnson.
While you were there, did someone approach you?
Yeah, towards the end of the night, as we were walking up to the upstairs bar, somebody jumped out in front of me, kind of just like to get my attention, and said, "Hey, who's your friend?" and gestured towards Christine. You know, he seemed friendly and introduced himself, and I grabbed Christine and said, "Hey, this guy wants to meet you."
How did he introduce himself to you? What was his demeanor?
Friendly, charming. At that point, he introduced himself as JR.
You see JR sitting in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Would you please point to him and identify an article of clothing that he's wearing?
Right there, in a bright blue suit.
Has his appearance changed since the time that you met him?
Yes, he has a lot more tattoos on his face. He did not have any facial tattoos.
You just told the jurors this is the Hellcat that you all got in?
Yes, ma'am. That was the scariest part of that night, was the being behind the wheel of a car with somebody who couldn't drive. And I know when we got back to Christine's house in that Uber, it felt like, you know, we were home safe.
And they decided to go to Christine's house. The night took a grim turn as Wade attacked Christine. He strangled her in a cold and controlled way, then tried to hide what he had done. Using Christine's phone, he tricked his girlfriend into coming over, pretending he needed help. When she realized what had happened, she managed to escape, lucky to get away from Wade.
So where did you agree to meet him?
Mila Spa.
Now, when you arrived at Mila's Spa, did you see your Hellcat?
No.
Did you see a different car?
Yes.
Does this look like the car that he was driving?
Yes.
And again, what were you trying to talk to him about?
I went to the driver's side window. I said, "Where are my keys? Where's my car?" He was calm and just saying, "Get in the car, get in the car."
Did you agree to get in the car?
No.
And when you would not agree to get in the car, how did he act?
Violent, aggressive, tried to pull me in the car physically. and I resisted, got plank style so that he could not grab me into the vehicle.
So for the record, you just stood up and put your hands straight above your head.
Yes, so that I was not being able to be budged into the vehicle. He tackles to me to the ground. The car grazes both of our legs and I'm pummeled to the ground. I start to get beat.
Describe what you mean when you say he was beating you.
Whether it be punches, slapping, choking, that kind of nature. I'm trying to reason with him, trying to talk to him, but there's nobody behind those eyes anymore. So there was no reasoning with him. I got to the front of the staircase and a crowd begins to develop. I'm expecting people to help, call 911, so I'm just trying to bide my time at that point.
That same night, Wade's violence continued. He met Diane Ruiz, who asked him for directions. He convinced her to get into his car. Once she was inside and off guard, Wade attacked her too, strangling her just like he did to Christine. After killing her, he left her body by the road. Not satisfied, Wade came back and drove over her body multiple times, making sure she was beyond recognition.
He said he saw her walking down the street and stopped and asked her for directions, and she got in the car with him.
What did he say happened once she got in the car with him?
He said he reached over and choked her. He just told me, he did something. There was 2 people gone that would not be back. He said, I'm a killer.
Wade Wilson was finally arrested for the murders of Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz on June 12, 2024. His trial quickly became a major event, capturing widespread attention due to the serious and violent nature of his crimes. The courtroom was packed, a clear indication of the community's strong interest and the need for a just resolution. The prosecution team worked diligently to prove Wade's guilt.
Both of them died on the 7th of October of 2019. Both of them had been strangled.
They presented evidence collected from the crime scenes, witness statements from those who had seen Wade with the victims before their deaths, and technical data retrieved from cell phones. They argued that Wade had premeditated the murders, highlighting the brutality of his actions. The defense faced a challenging task given the severity of the crimes. They attempted to show how Wade's troubled childhood and emotional struggles might have impacted his actions, questioning the reliability of some evidence to instill doubt about his direct responsibility. Key moments in the trial included testimonies from the first responding police officers, medical experts who detailed the victim's injuries, and psychologists who discussed Wade's mental health.
He's whacked out. He's just out of his mind, possibly indicating traumatic brain injury.
There's enough data to support that his brain is not functioning like a normal, healthy individual.
After extensive deliberations, the jury found Wade guilty of murder. During the sentencing phase, the prosecution pushed for the death penalty due to the heinous nature of the crimes. However, the defense advocated for a life sentence, hoping for opportunities for Wade's rehabilitation. In the end, the jury sentenced Wade to multiple life terms without the possibility of parole, deciding against the death penalty.
He inflicted pain, and he showed utter indifference to her life.
This verdict brought some relief to those seeking justice for the victims, yet it also evoked sadness among those who viewed Wade as a product of his unfortunate upbringing. Despite pleas from his adoptive parents for a new trial, the court denied their request, affirming his sentence. Wade Wilson now awaits his final days on death row, reflecting on the consequences of his actions.
The totality of the circumstances warrants that the defendant, Wade Stephen Wilson, be sentenced to death for each count of first-degree murder.
His life story, marked by tragedy and missteps, serves as a poignant narrative about the complex interplay of human nature, legal confrontations, and the severe outcomes of a life consumed by darkness. It is a sobering reminder of how deep one can fall when engulfed in the shadows of crime and past traumas. As we close the case on Wade Wilson, we see a clear lesson. Unresolved pain and easy access to weapons can lead to tragedy. Thank you for following this story with us. Stay tuned for more updates and stories like this one.